Welcome to today's class. I'll be teaching you how I was able to achieve this joggers waistband. So I want you to watch to the end if you want to learn how this was done. So right here, what you'll be needing for this particular to achieve this, you need your elastic of 2 inches. The width should be 2 inches. The width of the elastic should be 2 inches wide, and the thickness of the waist I'm using 37.5, right? So I'll take away 1 inch. I'll take away 1 inch for this, and so I'll have 36.5. So you need your joggers rope. You need a stopper. If your joggers rope didn't come with them, a stopper. So you need a stopper. So right now, for this I'm using a baggy trouser, right? So what I'll do is I'll measure around the waist. I'll measure around the waist of this. I'll measure around it. So just watch. So I'm making a baggy trouser. So I'll measure around the waist. I should get about 50. So it's 54, right? So what I would do is, since the waist I have on my trouser is 54, what I'll do is I'll cut a rectangle. I'll cut a rectangle that measures 27.5. You know, half of 54 is 27, so you need half inch for joining. This is on fold. Do you get? This is on fold. So what I will do right now is go to my pressing table and press this over, right? So since my band is 2 inches, you're going to add half inch for joining to your the trouser of your waist, right? So this is what I'm going to have. So I'll press this, I'll put it on fold and press it, and I'll come back and show you. So right now I've folded my fabric into 2. So the width of the fabric is 2.5. Remember, our band is 2 inches, right? So I'll just, since I've folded this into 2, I'll bring both ends together, right? So what I'll do is I will join it up, and just watch out what I'll do. So right now I'm supposed to stitch both ends with half inch, right? So what I will do, I will run a stitch, half inch, half inch, half inch. Remember, our joggers, the joggers has a tiny hole whereby you can pass your joggers rope, right? So right now I'll divide this part into 3 and sew from here till it gets to this point, then leave the space here, continue sewing until I get to this point. So I'll just stitch this and show you what I mean. But meanwhile, this is what I'm trying to explain. So let's say I'm stitching from here. The side that has the opening will be the front. So what I'll do right now, I'll just stitch 2 from here. So if you can see the chalk markings, I also stitch from here and leave about probably 0.75 as the opening. So just watch from here. Make sure I get like the midpoint. Let's see. This is from here to here is about 2.5. So let's see here. Then I'll go up here by 0.3 here, so that I can make here the midpoint. So this is the place. This is the point. So I'll just stitch from here to here, from here to here, right? So just watch closely as I do the stitching. So I'm going to stitch from here. Stitch. Remember, I said I'm going to be stopping. I'm going to be stopping here, right? So just do this. Back stitch. Once I get to that point, back stitch. Take it out. Continue from the other side, like continue from here. Continue from after the 0.75 is marked. So I'll just continue back stitch. And that is all. Right? So this is it. So I'm just going to cut off the threads and show you exactly what I was talking about. So I stitched from here, half inch, and left here, this opening here. I didn't stitch that part. Left it open. So the next thing to do is, you are done with this. So when you fold it over, you will see like a point that is open. Here is open right now. So if I put my hand inside, it can go through, right? It can go through. So the next thing I'm going to do, you just look for your iron and iron this flat. You can even trim off this allowance if you want. So you just make sure it's laying flat. Can you see the opening for your joggers rope to go inside? So this part that has this open is going to be in the front. So you just get your piece together and create notches. These notches will help you when you're trying to attach this, right? So I've created my own notch. You bring this together from one end to the other end. I've notched here, I've did a notch there. I brought these two together. I did another notch here, like on both ends. This is very important if you want uniformity when attaching your elastic. So the next thing I'm going to do is, I told you that the width of the elastic is going to be the person's waist circumference, right? The person's waist circumference minus 1. So the person's waist circumference here, I'm using a waist of 37 and a half, but I'm going to cut out, I'm going to take away 1 inch from it, making it 36 and a half, right? So I'm making it 36 and a half, which is here. So I'm going to cut it off. So this 36 and a half, this is the elastic. So the next thing you're going to do, you're going to close this elastic. You bring both ends, overlap it. You can overlap it by 0.75. See, you can overlap it, then stitch like this, stitch round. And after stitching around like twice, then you stitch diagonally to hold your elastic firmly. Not like this, but like this. You sandwich them and then stitch round. So I'll stitch so you see what I'm showing. So I'm done sandwiching this, and see the elastic is really firm. So the next thing I'm going to do, just like we added notch marks on the band itself, so we're not going to create notches here. We'll just use our chalk. We'll locate these points, locate the points, get to the other edge, locate these points as well. This will match up with your notches, so it's very important. So I'll fold it over like this and repeat the same thing here on this point, flip it open at the midpoint as well, right? So these are very, very, very important. It's very, very important that you have this mark. So it's very, very important that you have the marks. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'll bring in this, get that middle point. I cannot place this anywhere, right? So push this inside like this. That's why I have that crease line. So I push it inside. Make sure that this is touching the midpoint as well, right? So this is what I have. So I'm going to use my pin and hold it, right? Just use your pins and hold it well. Use your pins and hold. You need a lot of pins for this so that it will be perfect when you are doing it. Perfect. So you get to the next point. Remember where your notch is. You locate your notch, bring this to this. Definitely what we measured, right, for this waistband is 54, right? So you definitely have excess, right? You definitely have excess. So that excess now will be stretched into the band. That's why you have that fold, those tiny folds, right? So this is what we do. So this is what I'm doing. So I'm just going to get this together and pin. Please, it's very important so that you can have uniformity in what you're doing, right? So I'll do this for all the points, right? So I've done this for the second one. So I'll get to the other point. This is it. So I'll locate where my notched point is as well. So this is where I notched. So I'm going to bring it over to this side. Just when you have all this excess, don't worry, we're going to stitch it properly when we are working on the band. So let's get this. Remember, you have to push your elastic in because you need ½ inch to join to your trouser. So you push it in very well and pin. Pin is very, very important. Pin whatever you're doing, pin it. And don't remove the pins. Don't remove them. Just pin, right? So I'll do this for the last side, the last notch that we have. So the next thing, after I place this stuff on the notch, so the chalk mark is touching this aspect, right? So just use your pins and hold it. Make sure you hold it. Use your pins to hold because these pins will guide you. So the next thing I'll do is, as I'm stitching, so remember we have ½ inch here, right? So I'll go back to that same point. So see what I'm going to do. Remember here is open, right? So I'll stitch on top of this part, round the band. I'll stitch directly underneath it, right? Directly after the hole, before the hole and after the hole. So I will stitch round. So as you're stitching, you are stretching your elastic. Do you get? As you're stitching, you're stretching your elastic. As you're stitching, you're stretching it. Do you get? So let me show you. So I'll just start stitching. So this is what I'm doing. So I'm starting before the opening. Place my teeth inside, then stretch it. See, I'm stretching it. I'll stretch it to sew. You can decide to use your tape. You can decide to use your pin to hold another place you like, right? So I'll stretch while I'll just sew and stretch as well. So this is what I'm doing. Pull out your 1/2 inch allowance and do this. So start stitch, then start stretching. Start stretching. So make sure your lines are even uniform when you're doing this. So try stretch. If you don't stretch, there will be no uniformity when you're done stitching. So stretch. Make sure you stretch your elastic and make sure it's uniform. So just stretch. So I'll do the same thing. Make sure to stretch your band, right? So you do that. Stretch it. So continue. So you do this till the end of your band. Like, see the way I'm stretching it. You stretch it till the end of your band. So once I'm done with the top, I'll show you. So I'm done with the first line, right? So I'm done with it. I'll cut off every rope, right? Any excess, I'll just got to see how it's looking already. So this is the first line, right? This is the first line. So the next line, remember where your hole is. So we'll stitch directly under, right? So this hole is just there for us. So we'll stitch directly under. Remember that you have 1/2 inch here, right? So we'll just stitch directly under it and go around again. This time around, you also stretch. While you're stitching, stretch. If you don't stretch, your gathers will not be even. It won't be even. So that's why we always stretch. So as you are sewing, the same thing I did at the top, you do the same thing. Stretch it as we sew. So watch what I'm doing. So I'm starting from that opening to stitch. Yeah, so I'm starting from that opening to just stitch. So I'll do that right now. So I'll place it there, back stitch, and then stretch. So this is it. This is going to be a tough one, but endure and try. So I'll back stitch here and stretch. Please stretch. It's very important. Make sure you're stretching from the end to the other end. So and stitch. Remember that your rope is going to pass here. So make sure that the thing you're using will accommodate your rope. Make sure that it will accommodate your rope. So you stretch. Make sure whatever you're stitching will accommodate your rope. So this is what you have. You do the same thing. Stretch out and stitch. Stretch out. So you do that till the end of the band. So right now I'm done attaching. I'm done doing the elastic band. So the next thing I'm going to do is just to pull out the pins and then join this to the waistband, right? Just to simply join it. Simply to join it to the dress itself. And that will be all, right? So this is how you can be able to do this. Remember the opening is going to be in the front. So this is it. This is where it is. So you just pass the joggers rope inside, right? You can use maybe an office pin, whatever you can use to just pass it in. When you're done passing it, you have both ends. You can get this your stopper. If it doesn't have a stopper, just push this in very well. Like try to push it, force it, right? You tie so that it's firm and doesn't pull off. So you just tie it, right? Tie it very well, like very, very slim. I'm not doing the right thing, but you tie it very at the edge so that it doesn't fall off. This has a stopper, but it came with it, right? So you can see how they finished this off, right? I guess they even cut off that stuff, tied it, and then use their lighter to finish up this. This is for this, right? So I'll just the normal way they attach this, but make sure that your opening is on the right side though, so that you don't stitch this backwards. So this is going to be facing the front, like the right side where you have your elastic to pass will be facing the right side of your fabric, right? This is where the opening is. So once I'm done fixing this round, right? Once I'm done fixing this round, around the waist. I'll just fix it, just run a stitch around the waist. I'm trying to fix the joggers, that's the joggers waistband, to the trouser. Remember that my waist is actually 36, but the fullness around the trouser is about 50 something, right? So if you're also trying to do this, you know, this side have already been gathered, right? It has these gathers, right? What I did was I pinned it to strategic points. That notch point, I fixed some to the side seam, some to my front and back, right? I placed the notches at that point. So remember, when you're trying to sew this too, this is kind of gathered, so you don't just place it like this and run over. You have to also stretch it as well before stitching, so that everything looks clean and neat, right? So I'm stitching ½ inch, right? So you're going to really adjust this and carefully do this so that the stuff looks nice at the end of the day. So you have to carefully, you know, stretch out and stitch it, the allowance you've kept, right? So I'll just do this. This is quite tricky, so you just have to carefully do it, or else you won't get what's the exact stuff, right, they're supposed to get. So you carefully do this, push out and stitch. You have to do this carefully. So I'll do the same thing for the whole trouser. This is a baggy trouser, not like a joggers on its own. So because the width of this, the person's hip is about 50, yeah. So reason why I had to add so much of this. So just carefully stitch round the waist, just hold it together. Yeah. So this is what we do. So this is it. So carefully make sure that you stretch. If you don't stretch, it's going to give your trouser a very funny look, and I don't think you like that. So it should be evenly distributed. So your trouser is going to give a very funny shape, and you won't want that. So to the extent I have done, you see, so the gathers on the dress won't be so much. It will be neat and to give you what you want, right? So I'll do the same round the trouser, right? So when I'm done, I'll show you the finished look. This is what we have, right? So I'll just pass my elastic through this point and round it, and that is how you're going to get this exact thing. This exactly. So this is the very end, and this is how I was able to attach this to this. So thank you for watching.